Hey everybody, I'm 40s and I'm bringing you my crit variant of Divine Retribution, a build that I've been working on all league. A little bit different playstyle from the other other builds out there. I see a lot of people playing Elemental Overload. I've seen Lucas's guide, props to him, great guide. This is a little bit different. So a couple of disclaimers on this. I'm not an expert making PoE guides. I have a lot of hours in PoE. In the last few seasons, maybe last 4 seasons, I guess, I've been making my own builds at the start of each league. I don't use build guides anymore. I just kind of do whatever. I generally don't play the meta builds. So if you're looking for a meta zoomer build, this probably isn't going to be for you. This build isn't slow, but it's definitely not the fastest build, but it is a lot of fun. It's very satisfying to play, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you are taking a look at this and you've been waiting for me to put out a last seat bot guide, I actually have a couple of builds that I've killed Aberoth with that I've been meaning to release, but you have to forgive me. I travel for work, and when I travel, I can't stream or record, and most times I can barely play. But I do have some time off coming up, so I'll be putting out some of those guides for last epoch, and for now, I'm saving for a Mage Blood in PoE, so this is the perfect time to share where I'm at with this build. So if you were interested in a crit variant, you can take a look at this and see if it's for you. Another note about this, crit is a lot more expensive to play. It's going to cost you, the sky's the limit for crit. So as much currency as you've got, you can dump it into this and you can get those numbers like way, way high. I promise in a couple of weeks, I will probably have this damage that I have right now even doubled, if not more. So we'll go over the gear, the core items that make this build work for crit, the jewelry, the gems, the flasks, and then we will also take a look at some video content for the build. So let's get right into it, guys. So let's talk about some of the really important items for this build. Right off the bat, the trio of items that enable this are going to be my shield, my wand, and my helm. So my shield and my wand in this version are giving me an 8 link, and my helm is making my base spell crit chance equal to my main hand weapon crit chance. And also it makes it so I can't deal crits with attacks, but we're using spells, so that does not matter. So the wand that I have is very good, and it's very, very, very expensive. Unless you are sitting on a ton of currency, you're not gonna be able to get one that looks exactly like this. You're just gonna have to get lucky crafting. However, that's to get the version that I have with the level 20 crit chance, crit damage, and then the 40% more spell damage on it. Now, if you don't need that to start doing a 100% crit build, the 40% more just obviously is a huge multiplicative multiplier for this, so it's really, really nice. But to enable this, you can simply just get the level 20 crit strikes and level 20 crit damage support, and to do that, you'll just get the Elder and Shaper base and slam them with Awakener's Orbs, and then, as you get more currency, you can lock your suffixes and then Harvest Slam it and repeat that process until you get a version that you like. But just to enable it, you just need those two. Getting the bases isn't too expensive. The Awakener Orb last I checked was like 2 divine, so it might be going up a little bit, but it'll probably stay between like 2 and 3 div. And then the Squire, which is the shield that makes it so support gems, support main hand skills as well. Those are not very expensive this league, surprisingly enough. I think they were like between 2 and 4 div last I looked, so you can get one that pretty cheap. The one I have with the double corruption is a little bit more expensive. It didn't even need to be double corruption. It's just that the max life is really what I wanted on there because that's just more survivability. So you don't need that one, but you can get one for a couple div. And then the Sandstorm Visage, which is probably going to be the single most expensive item that you'll buy. Let's see what they're going for right now. Yeah, so like about 8 divine for one, and that's, once again, that's going to be what makes your spell crit chance equal to your main hand weapon crit chance. But those 3 items are going to be what enable this build. So you're going to want to get those. Once you're going to get those, you can play the crit variant and start scaling crit multi, and you'll do a couple of things to get your crit chance all the way to 100%. Maybe you need power charges. I'm running power charges right now, but I don't think I even need them, to be honest. I think they take me from like 95 to 100. I don't really need them, so I may move away from that. We'll see. But if I keep making changes, I'll never bring this as a showcase or guide or anything like that. So, I'll keep making changes after this video, and I'll update the video and the POV, and maybe I'll make a second video later in a few weeks when I'm like really got this dialed in as high damage. So those are the 3 like core items that you're gonna need to run this build, okay? And if you need help getting those, or you want some advice crafting, feel free to reach out to me in DMs or in the comments. I will help you as best I can. Okay, next up, let's talk about my armor items. So I am, this is an armor build. I'm stacking a lot of armor in a lot of places, and I'm using Molten Shell instead of the other guard skills. I was able to get more benefit from Molten Shell. If you can get a higher damage shield from Molten Shell because you have high enough armor, then I always prefer to do it. It can be personal preference too. Steel Skin and Immortal Call are also viable options. I could probably use Immortal Call since I'm generating endurance charges so fast, but I still prefer the Molten Shell. So onto the high armor items. I've got my chest. My chest piece is, I don't have life on it because I'm using the life mastery for 50% increased life if there's no life mods on your chest. And I'm doing that because I wanted really high armor rolls on there. So you can see on my chest, I've got 2 armor prefixes. One of them is, I essence craft this, so one of them's like the essence, and then one's tier 1 increased armor. Giving me a grand total of 4,300 armor on my chest. Huge amount of armor. And then resistances, spell block. That's what else is on there. Another high armor item I have, my gloves. Almost 900 armor on the gloves. Once again, increased armor prefix, life resistances, and then fizz damage converted to lightning benchcraft, and then fizz damage converted to lightning eldritch implicit. So I prefer, this is the highest armor base that is available now. This is the new one from 3.25. It's got a huge armor base, and then you get increased armor, qual it up, and you've got a fat amount of armor on your gloves. Same thing with boots. This is the highest armor base for boots now. So triple resistance on here, move speed, life, increased armor. Simple as that. And then, regenerate life per second per endurance charge. 5 endurance charges. That's giving me 1% life per second. Useful. Move speed. So those are my armor bases. And then I'll talk about the belt too. The belt, like I said, I'm saving for a mage blood, so this belt's going to go away. But this belt is giving me 390 armor, life. Mana, I don't need the mana anymore. I had this belt while I was running the Archmage build, the Archmage variant, but it's fine to have it on there right now. And then, double resist, and then the benchcraft resist. So those are my big armor pieces, okay? Yeah, outside of the first 2 that we talked about. Okay, so another really important thing is my jewels, okay? So I've got a lot of jewels in this build. All of my regular jewels, non-clusters that are also not unique jewels, are triple crit multi. So those jewels can get pretty expensive. You're probably looking like 1 to 2 divine a pop. I think that's about what I paid for these. I'm getting like anywhere between 30 and 40% crit multi from each one of these jewels, so quite a bit. But those are the regular jewels. The cluster jewels, the first thing I want to talk about is the medium cluster jewels. Okay, so these ones have a notable that gives you 30% crit multi if you have blocked recently. That's a lot of crit multi, and we're blocking all the time. And I'm running 3 of these, so 90% crit multi for 4 seconds every time I block. Really nice. And then there's a second notable on there that you can get 5% chance you'll double damage from crits. So that's also really nice. If I can find the talent points to spare, which I might be able to, then I will get more of these. I'll be able to allocate more of these pressure points. I think I only have 1 of them in here right now because I only have enough talents points to allocate 1. So that's the struggle, finding ways to allocate all the really good stuff and get rid of the stuff you don't need. So that's what the medium cluster jewels look like. The large cluster jewels, I opted to take 1 spell damage 1 and 1 lightning damage. I took the spell damage because it had there was some nodes in there that give you chance to block spell damage if you've cast a spell recently, and then like 1 Mage Hunter, which just gives you a flat chance to block spell damage. So that kind of helps me get to that spell block cap. And since we're running a block cap build, those are really important. And then the increased spell damage, I don't even have that allocated right now for the Sap Psych notable. It is what it is. I can't afford the talents to get there yet. My lightning damage cluster jewel, that one I'm giving Ellie damage equals life, Ellie res, and then critical strikes, knockback, shock enemies. That can be nice. It can be kind of annoying too sometimes. I mean, it's more survivability, especially if you're in like later waves in the Simulacrum and you got a ton of mobs on you. That can be pretty nice. So I'm indifferent on it. Could I do without it? Probably. Other times when I love it, also yes. So it's going to be personal preference on that. And I am taking all three notables there. Let's see. And then, you know, my Megalomaniac. This jewel, I wanted this for the endurance charge every second I've been hit recently, because we're getting hit a lot. So, and this even procs from blocks, and I get increased armor from that. And I am running like a high armor build here. So that's very useful. The pressure, once again, I have pressure points on here for the increased, or for the crit strikes deal 5% chance to deal double damage. Love that node. And then Mage Vein again, chance to block. This also gives me 20% chance to gain a power charge when I block. So I have like 40% now with that. But like I said, I don't really need power charges, so we may move away from that in the future. But for now, that's what we got. My Thread of Hope. This allowed me to drop a bunch of talent points. Let's see, up here in the tree, to get me to this safeguard node for the maximum spell block chance. I had to take all these points to get here. It's very annoying. I didn't like that. So, you know, we got rid of those points. We put the Thread of Hope in here. And that also allowed me to pick up this, you know, big life node here. Reduce mana cost of skills here, here, and here. So, you know, very nice there. Useful gem. I just made that change. Let's see what else we got. The Watcher's Eye. This is a big damn gem. This is giving me almost 300,000 damage. Crit strikes penetrate 9% of elemental resistance while affected by Zealotry. I'm using Zealotry and I'm always critting, so that gem is always getting use, or that stat line. And then the second line, 24% of Fizz damage, extra lightning while affected by Wrath. We're not scaling Fizz, but this is still giving us damage. That line is still giving us damage. It's useful. There are other things you can take, like you can look for one that converts lightning damage or Fizz to lightning while affected by Wrath if you have trouble getting the double mods on your gloves to convert all your Fizz, if that's what you're trying to do. So there's some options there for that second line, but I went with the extra damage, and that's what I got there. And then I'm running Unnatural Instinct, and this is one I'm especially different on. I opted to. I was using this while I was running the Archmage version, but in the tree where I had this put, I moved it over here so I could gain this 18% to all elemental res. I'm getting block chance here, 9% block. I'm getting a little bit of dex, a little bit of strength, some move speed. I'm getting these increases and reduced skill effect durations. When you have all of these, what this ends up being is just increase, because the increases are more than the reductions. But you also get this debuffs expire faster on you, which can be kind of nice. So I get a little bit more duration there. These nodes right here are useless because we're not running totems. These nodes are useful because there is still a base Fizz on Divine Retribution. It's not super useful, but you know they give you some value damage wise. And that's the gems, guys. So last up for the items, jewelry and the flasks. The amulet, the replica dragonflight for the +3 to divine retribution gems, great amulet. However, I will eventually replace this with a very expensive heist amulet that has increased explicit modifiers for the trade-off of removed prefix and suffix count, because you can get a +4 amulet there, and you can get like a huge crit multi-mount, but they get very expensive, like 90 to 150 divines. They're very expensive, but very good. But this is what we got for now. And then, of course, allocating no forgiveness. And then, let's see, the rings. Ring 1, curse enemies with conductivity and hit. I do not like casting curses, so I always put it on my rings. If you like casting curses, feel free. If you want to do it with like brand skill, do that too. You know, that's totally player preference, I think. What else on the ring? High life roll and high intelligence, because I'm running a lot of blue gems. I need a lot of intelligence, and then non-channeling skills reduce mana cost. So pretty simple ring there. Getting the right fracture you went on items, just as a general statement, can be kind of expensive depending on how many of the meta builds are playing with that same setup or would want to. So you know, take stock of what kind of currency that you're sitting on and what you can do, and you know, go from there. My second ring, this is my newer one. I just crafted this one. This is a Vermilion ring, and I awaken or orb this to get the increased spell damage implicit, and the minions and myself take reduced reflected LE damage. I did this in conjunction with the Pantheon for reduced reflected, so I can run tier 17s with the reflected mod, because if you can mitigate a mod or build around mods on those tier 17s, and then you can run those, and they can take place of other mods that would be more debilitating towards you. So that's why I have this ring. It's not perfect, but it does what it needs to, and I've got the int roll on there because I actually need the high tier 1 int on both of my rings. So that's what the rings look like. The flasks, I'm running a life flask, which I use all the time. All of my blue flasks, they have a chance to gain charge on crit because I'm critting all the time. So you know, you have almost permanent flasks for those ones. The series promise gain elemental damage as extra chaos and fizz as extra chaos. We can double dip on that. So this is a nice flask, gives me almost 100,000 damage. And then the bottled faith, I just picked this one up. This one gives me almost 300k. We all know what bottled faith does. So those are my flasks and my jewelry. Okay, so let's talk about why crit over the other variants of this build. So crit can be scaled a lot higher than the other versions of this build. Because crit multi, you can do a lot of things with crit multi. You can get them really high. I mean, I've been looking at some timeless jewels, and there are ones that I get with a trade-off, mind you, that can get me like an extra 90% crit multi over what I have right now even. So, and I will probably do that, but like I said, same for the Mage Blood, so no, I'm not buying anything right now. So that's why I want to play crit is just because the ceiling is the highest on crit. So that's why for the crit. What's important about this build is block. If you're struggling, you need to make sure you take a look at your block chance. You want to be as close to cap for attack and spells you can, or make sure that like while you're in combat, you're going to be capped or close to it. Your armor, you're going to want to have high armor if you're running the version with Molten Shell. You're going to even want high armor just for the fizz damage, unless you know you're running, well, if you're running like the chest piece that makes fizz damage taken as fire. I think I've got one in my stash. Yeah, here we go. If you're running a Cloak of Flame, maybe you don't need as much fizz armor, rather, but I think that each person, when they're building this, or their version of this, they have to work out what they want to use for the defensive layer. You don't have to go armor. Armor is what I've done. There are other ways to build around other layers of defense to account for physical damage hits. So armor is just my choice. You find what works best for you and what you can afford, and do that. So, you know, crit chance with those three core items that I showed earlier. Blocks being capped, resistances being capped, get your chaos res up, get a flask for chaos res 2, make sure that you're capped or close to capped as you can be while you're in combat. You know, take a look at your, see if you can get a source reasonably cheap for corrupted blood can't be inflicted. That's another great defensive layer. Finding ways to not have elemental ailments inflicted on you, that's another way to keep yourself alive. You know, I'm running Tempest Shield. That makes me immune to shock. So that's, you know, I can't be shocked. At night, bleed, poison, those can also happen on me. I have Pantheon, so I can't be frozen. Reduced effective chill also from there. Another way to increase survivability, get gems that have reduced effective curses on you. Believe me, I've been looking for them with the other stats that I want, also hard to find. So I am looking, but yeah, hard to find and expensive. So that'll help you defensively. On your Granite Flask, make sure you have that suffix on there that has increased armor. If you can't afford like a Bottle of Faith, pick up a, what's it called? Got one right here. Pick up a Basalt Flask for the more armor. That'll help you as well. Or Evasion if you're building this as Evasion. I wouldn't do that, but if that's what you're doing, you know, more power to you. Just, you know, pick it up with more armor evasion, depending on what you're building. And then mods. So let's talk about map mods. Things to avoid that are going to be very debilitating to you. Reduced chance to block. Don't run those. You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time. Reduce cooldown recovery rate. You are going to have a bad time. Don't run that. Let's see what else. Reduce life regen. That's that can really suck, especially if you have like a juicing Atlas build like I do, where you are getting increased effect of the mods on your map. So like when I run a reduced life regen, it might be like 60%, but when I get in the map, it's like 120%. So I get no life regen from Flasks. So I have to run a Flask that has, instant recovery on low life or something like that. So make sure you're paying attention to things like that. That'll help you. Let's see if I think I have any more suggestions for defensive layers. Other than that, this build is like honestly a blast to play. I do wish that there was a way to get 100% chance to not use a cooldown on Retal skills, but we're not there yet. I'm sure that we're going to see some improvements to retaliation skills in the future, and I hope we see more support for spell retaliation and more spell retaliation skills in general. I think my biggest complaint, if you wanted to know, about Divine Retribution is that the screen gets completely covered. It is very hard to see. I would love if they would have an MTX that would make the bolts smaller or something like that. Yeah, I would be a fan of that. And then, I also think that having like a transfigured gem to make the lightning bolts go inwards instead of outwards, that would be really cool as well. So there's some cool things that they can do with retail skills. So I'm definitely a fan, and I like the build. So, if you have any questions on this, please reach out in the comments. I'll answer everything that I can. And if you have a suggestion that you want to give, or you think that you might have seen something that would work that I haven't seen yet, feel free to ask me. I might have already tried it and found out that it didn't work out too great. I've tried a lot of things. I've been working on this every day for weeks now. And since I'm saving for the Mage Blood, now is the perfect time to give you guys the video with where I'm at. And it's tried and tested. With that all said, I think that'll be the end of this, and I will roll some content for like Wave 15 Simulacrum, Tier 17 Map, Maven, Juice Tier 16 Map, and let you guys see that. And if you like it, great. And last but not least, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like or subscribe. That'd help out a lot. I do this like very part-time. And thanks for watching, guys. Take care.